Hello and welcome to a video tutorial for Taz McCarthy on Google Sketchup and Introduction. Google Sketchup is a free 3D CAD modeling software, which stands for Computer Aided Design, which means you're making a 3D model which can be rotated and then exported into other programs or rendered to look really nice. SketchUp is completely free. All you need to do is Google SketchUp and then the first link is the one that you want. When you're on this page, you'll see that the download is over here. It works for PC and Mac. But while we're on this page, it's a good idea to click on the training link and then on video tutorials. For new users through to experts, there is a range of really great videos that will show you how the program works. I highly recommend watching at least these first 4. Afterwards, when you're using the program, if you're wondering what any of the tools do in the toolbar, you can come and click on it and it will give you a video for that, showing you how it works. So after you've downloaded SketchUp and installed it, the first time you open it, you'll get a box that looks like this and it'll ask you to choose a template. I've already chosen a product design and woodworking template and I've set it to millimeters. It's not too important the one that you choose, but probably a good idea to set it to either millimeters, centimeters or meters because we use metric. When you're done, start using SketchUp. Okay, SketchUp lets us create objects in 3D. It's never in 2D and the viewpoint is always in perspective. It's important to firstly understand how we can move our viewpoint around our object. We have some tools down in the corner here. The first is the orbit tool. This allows us to move around our object in space. The second is the pan tool, which moves it across the screen. The next is the zoom tool, which zooms in and out. When using SketchUp, you never really want to click on these here. You want to do them all with shortcuts from the mouse. The first is zooming by moving the scroll wheel back and forth. The second is to press down the scroll wheel or middle button and then drag the mouse to do our rotation. The third is to hold shift and repeat that process, clicking the middle button or scroll wheel to pan across the screen. It's very inefficient to keep on having to click over on the side while we're doing other things, so you want to avoid it at all times. SketchUp works by drawing 2D shapes and then turning them into 3D. This first selection of tools here gives us most of what we need to draw our shapes in 3D. Anytime you draw a solid shape, it will shade itself in and that tells you that it can be converted into 3D. Some of the tools we have here are for boxes, for circles, for polygons, which you can also change the number of sides. As soon as we have some 2D shapes, we can begin to use some of our 3D tools. The easiest one to use is called the push-pull tool. Simply click on one of our shapes and then drag it to the desired height. If we're wanting to be precise, while we're clicking and dragging, before we let go of the mouse, we can type in with the keyboard a measurement and press enter and it will go to exactly that height. For instance, I've just typed in 5 meters. To save us doing this every time, as we're clicking and dragging others, we can hover over our other surface and you'll see that it snaps to it, it infers the height. This process also works for cutting holes. If I draw another circle here, we can see that it's made a separate surface on top of the other one, and then go back to the push-pull tool and I can push down to cut, hollowing it out. Rotating around, we can see our 3D objects. If we're going to sketch using arcs and freehand, more complicated shapes, it's a good idea first to set up a flat rectangle to draw upon. Because as you can see here, sometimes it can't decide which plane it wants to draw our shape on. This one's on the floor, this is on the floor, this one is on the front. So setting that early with a rectangle means it's going to be much easier to draw anything from now on. For example, so we had the arc tool here. When I stop the mouse, you'll notice it says on face. So you know it's going to draw on this flat plane. So drawing a nice shape here. Okay, there is our shape. Now we can see that it's kept on the same plane, it's nice and flat. After that we can simply click and delete the sections that we don't want. This shape, like any other, can be used with the push-pull tool to make three-dimensional. But something else we can do in SketchUp is revolve shapes like we would on a lathe. To do that, it's a matter of drawing the shape as always in 2D and then drawing a circle that we want it to spin around. Now we go to our next tool, the Follow Me tool. We click on our solid shape, hover the mouse over our outline, and you can see that we can rotate our shape around very quickly and easily. So here we've done half a shape, just around like that. If you want to do a full revolution, the quickest way is to click and select your arc, then the Follow Me tool, and then a single click, and it will fill in your shape for you straight away. Another powerful tool that you can use to build up complex shapes quickly is the Move tool. Generally, the Move tool would be used to move around entire objects, like so. But instead of selecting the whole thing, we can select just one line or edge, and now all of a sudden we can move just that one to make shapes really quickly. The same thing should work for corners. Like so. Another way that we can use the Follow Me tool is to draw a shape on here and then follow this line down and around corners, and you can see it's had a little bit of drama up here, but with a more simple shape we can add rounded corners, bevels to the edges of our objects. If you're drawing an object that's going to have a lot of repetition, it's a good idea to make it into a component first. I'll show you what I mean. Say we were drawing a table with lots of chair legs. This would be the table, and then you would simply draw a single chair leg and then we'll make this a component by dragging a box around it. Right clicking on it and saying make component. Now it's going to ask for a name. It doesn't really matter what you call it as long as you recognize it. And now that component is separate to the rest. If I wanted to rotate this around and multiply it, I go to the Rotate tool, set the center, the start of the rotation, and now I can move it around. You'll notice down the bottom it says Control, or on a Mac it says Alt or Option. If I press that, all of a sudden it's making a second copy. Say I want 4 legs. Like always, I can type in a precise angle from down the bottom here. So I'm going to type in 90, but before I press anything else, I'm going to tell it that I want 3 of them. So I type 3x for 3 times, hit enter, all of a sudden it's made copies exactly the same. Now here's the beauty of doing it from a component. It makes your file smaller, and when you edit one, you actually edit all of them. Whatever changes I make on one leg are going to be instantly reflected in all of the others. Sometimes you might have a complicated shape and you'd like to mirror it. I'll show you quickly how to do that. First thing I'm going to do is select it all, then the move tool, and down the bottom it also says control to toggle copy, and I'm going to copy out a second one. Then going to switch to the scale tool, and from the very middle point I'm going to send that inside out until it says -1 in the bottom right hand corner. Now I can move this one down into place, just like that. Now any changes that I make on one side should be reflected on the other. The final thing that I'll show you in this introductory video is the paint bucket tool. When you've painted something, you want to make it look like the actual product. So clicking the paint bucket will bring up this set of tools, and there's a whole bunch of materials that you can put in here. Say this was going to be an hourglass. I might choose wood and then paint the ends in wood, making sure to get the undersides. And then I might try something like glass from translucent, painting these to be see-through. As you can see around this area, as I move from side to side, that is in fact see-through. So these are some basic techniques for Google SketchUp. You'll find that it's quite intuitive and you can make shapes really quickly and easily unless they're particularly rounded. One of the good things about the program is the amount of support available, so it's just a matter of getting onto YouTube or Google and Googling what it is exactly you're after, and you'll be sure to find a video with someone explaining how to do it.